Hi, Coach Shawn here. Today I want to talk about something that I really confused when I was married and then after, and I didn't understand it because it seemed like a 180, and it seems that way when you're with a narcissist. It seems they go from loving you so much and showing so much attention, the quote unquote putting you on a pedestal, to basically flicking you off, and they do a complete 180, and you wonder what happened. Like, where did you go? So one of the biggest things survivors struggle with is that love bombing isn't love. You know, in the beginning, you think you found this person who is going to really be your partner. It's overwhelming, the constant maybe texting or phone calls, and they want to see you, and maybe they give you gifts, and they just seem very attentive. But you have to remember, that's all control. That's not healthy. You are supposed to have your own life and interests, and so are they. And I can remember when I was even engaged, and we worked together, and we worked in different parts of the building, and he would call all day, all day, all day. And I thought it was sweet. And I remember one of the women that I worked with, who was actually a bridesmaid in my wedding, she said, that's not good, Shawn. She was older than me, and I didn't understand it. I thought, well, she just doesn't know how much he loves me. Wrong. Um, Another thing too, once you become committed, everything changes. The chasing stops, the efforts stop, the curiosity stops. And it's like they have you, so now they no longer have to really pay that much attention. They'll shower you for a while, and then they'll back away. Enough in order for you to just kind of be appeased, but it's not about you. And they want constant attention from you. They want you to drop everything. They want you to, maybe not even pay attention to the kids. I remember him being very jealous of the children and wanting me to pay attention to him. He was a very absent father. He was never around. I was the one always in the kitchen doing the dishes and the laundry and the pudding. He would help a little bit, especially when they got older, because they would notice. But for the most part, it's very absentee. The controlling is, you do you, I do me. I want you to be available to me, and I'll shower you with whatever in order to keep you kind of on your toes. And your independence over time becomes a threat. If you want to go to the gym, if you want to spend time with girlfriends or your guy friends, if you want to just go in your bedroom and read a book, I remember, they want you right there beside them. If they're outside washing the car, they want you sitting there talking to them. You're supposed to be available to them all the time, but they can go do whatever they want. And you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to work too much, because then you're not paying attention to them. You're not allowed to have any type of hobbies. It's all about control. It's all about the narcissist and their needs and their supply. And it gets tiring. They need constant validation. Healthy people enjoy attention, but a narcissist depends on it. And so especially if you're a woman and you were busy raising the kids, they weren't getting their supply. I mean, I can remember, had 4 children, 2 sets of twins, be traveling all week. I was pulling my hair out just trying to hold down the house and make meals and run carpool and do homeworks and, get up in the morning and get them all off to school and then pick them back up again. And it was hell. Those years were hell. And those were the years that he decided he wasn't getting enough attention, because I didn't meet him at the door with a glass of wine when he'd been traveling all week. Yes. So you're dealing with somebody who wants constant attention from you, and you need to feed their ego. And if you don't, then they start looking elsewhere. And, they're talking about having an emotional affair, and they're on porn, and social media is a temptation for them. And, they're having inappropriate conversations with coworkers, found plenty of those. And so, then the dating apps, and it's so easy to cheat now, especially if they travel. They just turn on their location, and they're getting that supply somewhere, because they cannot fathom that, if you're not there at their beck and call every second of every minute of every day, that you might actually be your own individual person with your own needs and wants and expectations and thoughts and whatever. It's never about you. And that rolls into intimacy. Intimacy is not about connecting and getting to know one another and really valuing that time. It's all about their needs. It always revolves around them and satisfying them. It's not about you ever. And so you can even say, I like this or I like that, and they'll tell you, I don't want to do that, or that's not. It's never about you, ever. There's very little emotional connection. There's no curiosity about your needs. There's no asking about what you like, ever. It's so weird. It's all about them. And affection is very inconsistent. It can be consistent for a while, and then they withhold. You can say things like, I want to be intimate or whatever, and they'll tell you, no, I don't feel like doing that right now, or whatever. They love to withhold intimacy. It's their form of control. And many survivors talk about it being very one-sided or feeling extremely emotionally disconnected, and that's absolutely accurate. That's extremely, extremely, extremely common. And another thing is money. Oh my gosh, that's a huge one. You have to ask. I had to ask for cash. He didn't let me go into the ATM. If I was out, he had all the credit cards set up so that he would get alerts and, where are you? What are you doing? And of course, he could see me on Life 360. And there's so much financial independence, and I'm going to cut you loose when they decide to really snag it to you on the finances. And money equals power to them, and power equals control for them. And especially if you are a stay-at-home mom, and it happens to men too. I know a lot of men that work very, very hard. I've coached them, many through the years, and the wives spend. And so it definitely happens both ways. And another thing too is they control the narrative. That goes back to the flying monkeys and the smear campaign. Suddenly you're crazy and unstable, and you're abusive, and you're selfish, and you like to manipulate, and you blah, blah. I mean, my God, the list goes on and on and on and on. And I don't even know if they realize that you talking that way about your spouse or ex-spouse makes you look terrible. They don't want to just control you. They want to control how everyone thinks about you and your reputation. They want to, because they're projecting how they can't stand to look at themselves, and so they project all their bad qualities onto you. But I don't think they realize that over time that just doesn't age well, especially years later, and they're still disparaging your name. I mean, I don't know how many of you have gone into the dating world, but listen very carefully, men and women, about how they talk about their ex-spouse and what they say. If they are saying they're crazy and unstable and abusive, I doubt it, especially if it was a long-term marriage, because that doesn't typically happen. You can leave the comments below, those of you who want to, but it doesn't. So, just be very careful. Listen, really listen when people are talking about their exes. You will always know a narcissist by how they talk about themselves constantly. Their entire conversation is about them. I remember, saying sometimes you got to ask about them. You got to ask about their kids. And of course, any slight, that's considered a criticism, and how dare you, You lived in crazy. You didn't live in a partnership. It was all about, again, control, their image, they're perfect, you cater to them. And when you don't, it becomes, I've got to find different supply, and I've got to disparage your name, and I've got to blame everything on you. So, these relationships are not based on love. They're not based on give and take. It's all about wanting to control your emotions, provoking you to get you to react. It's all about making you look as bad as you possibly can. And I want you to really think about this if you're struggling with narcissistic abuse. Your partner should never want you to look bad. Your partner should never want to embarrass you. Your partner should never want to disparage you behind your back. If you're with someone that is doing those things, you're with the wrong person. Coach Shawn here. I do one-on-one coaching to help you get through this dynamic because it's confusing and it's painful. I also offer a Tuesday night support group for those who are survivors of narcissistic abuse and those who have been alienated from your kids, because that's what comes next. Unfortunately, it's just check the boxes as you go down. Anyway, till next time, Coach Shawn.